Welcome back to Mr. Ian Teaches English. I'm using my wife's computer to try to make this video, and it's really different from my computer. So things are going to be a little bit weird and a little bit different, but we're going to talk about two words today that are very different. They actually have opposite meanings that students get confused with sometimes in my class. So hold on. I apologize for the strangeness of the video, but let's jump in. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I do apologize. I told you in a short recently that my computer was broken, and so I'm using my wife's computer, and I don't know how to use hers. So there's no video of my face in the corner, and maybe that's good, or maybe that's bad. Who knows? Anyway, we're going to talk today about borrow and lend. These are two words that students mix up a lot when they are in my class. Now, borrow simply means to temporarily take. If you use the word borrow in a sentence, you can replace it with the word take, and the sentence still makes sense. Now, borrow is temporary and take is permanent, so be careful. But it is a regular verb: borrow, borrowed, borrowed. Remember that ED pronunciation here is what I call a dog sound, so go back and watch my ED video if you want to pronounce it really well. Lend means to temporarily give. Again, if you put the word give in place of lend, the sentence still sounds good, but has a different meaning because lend is temporary, where give is permanent. Okay. Now, sometimes we do use the word loan, but the word loan is very connected to banks and taking money for houses and cars. So in regular conversation, regular life, we usually use borrow and lend. Now, lend is irregular: lend, lent, and lent. So be careful with your pronunciation there of that final sound. Now, here are some of the weird rules that these have. Borrow doesn't use indirect objects, but it does use direct objects. If you're not sure about direct and indirect objects, simply direct object is exactly the object you're talking about. The indirect object is usually another object that maybe receives or gives it. So, can you borrow me your phone? Ugh, that's bad English because that includes the indirect object, me. Can I borrow your phone? That is good English. We are not using the indirect object there. But notice in both we do use direct objects. Now, lend. In lend, you need to use both direct and indirect objects. For example, he'll lend his car if I ask. That's no good. We need to know who we're talking about. We need that indirect object. So the second one, he'll lend me his car if I ask. That is good English. And the third one, he'll lend his car to me if I ask, is also good English. Notice in the first one, we said lend me. In the second one, we said lend his car to me. Both are perfectly fine. They're both very good. All right, let's talk about the practice here. Go ahead, pause the video, take a moment, correct the mistakes here based on what you've already learned, what we talked about in the first few slides. All right, here are the answers on the screen. Could you borrow me $20, please? No. Now, you can fix that in multiple ways. All right, you can choose to keep borrow and take away the me. You'd have to also change the pronoun there. So it is possible to have different answers here as long as it makes sense. I'm giving you the easiest one. So number one, could you borrow me $20, please? No, thank you. Could you lend me $20, please? Number two, would you mind borrowing me your dictionary? Ugh, doesn't work. Would you mind lending me your dictionary? From here, I'm just going to read the answers because you've already read the questions. Number three, I'm sorry I can't lend you the dictionary. Notice using the indirect and the direct object with lend. Number four, I lent it to Karina yesterday. Number five, I can't lend you my car tonight. Number six, can you lend me your pen? Number 7, is it okay to return the library books I borrowed? And number 8, I wish you wouldn't borrow my things without asking. So again, hopefully you can see the use of direct and indirect objects with these. If you do have questions, please put it in the comments. This video is really weird to make with the new computer setup, so if I forgot something or if I'm not very clear, please let me know. Very happy to answer those questions. Now, why is this important? It's a little important. Most of the time, I, as a teacher, understand exactly what you're saying. Regular people in regular life might not. Please know and understand that these are two different words with two very different meanings. So if you use the wrong one, you're saying something different. Most of the time, however, context will help people understand. So if you need to repeat yourself, go ahead and do that in conversation. Know that they are different, but most of the time people will understand with context.